My screen record. Okay. Um, Here are the processes that we have to undergo as we do the linguistic analysis. First is syntactic analysis. This determines whether or not an instance of the language is well formed and analyzes its grammatical structure. So take note that syntactic analysis focuses on formation of words and sentences, and analyzing grammatical structure. Semantic analysis, on the other hand, analyzes the meaning of the sentence as to whether it makes sense or not. Naa ba siya meaning or wala. Next is pragmatic analysis is one of the approaches or tools to study language's relation to contextual background. So sa semantic analysis, it's how we understand or what is the meaning of the sentence literally, and then pragmatic analysis is what is the meaning of the sentence according to the context. Later on, expound na to unsay difference anang semantic analysis and pragmatic analysis. Let's have first syntactic analysis. Syntactic analysis and semantic analysis are two primary techniques that lead to the understanding of natural language. So basically, before we will have or we will successfully um, do the pragmatic analysis, we have to do first syntactic analysis and semantic analysis. These are the two primary steps or techniques in understanding a language. Language is a set of valid sentences, and what validates it is syntax and semantics. Ang nag-validate sa isa ka language as to whether it is correct or not is the syntax and semantics, form and meaning. Take note ha, syntax refers to form or structure, semantics refers to the meaning of the sentence. Syntax is the grammatical structure of the text, whereas semantics is the meaning, as I have repeatedly said a while ago. A sentence that is syntactically correct, however, is not always semantically correct. The reason why we have to do syntax, ma'am, nganong naay syntax na po semantic, nganong dili pwede na syntax lang or semantics lang. It is important to do the two because in syntax, we will be determining what parts of speech are used in the sentence, what phrases are applied, is the sentence grammatically correct, does the subject and the verb agree with each other, katong subject-verb agreement, that's under syntax, kung okay ang iyang grammatical structure. So that is important, of course. Second is, dili buhaton ang semantic analysis because after checking the grammatical structure of the sentence, we also need to know whether that sentence conveys meaning or not. Because there are sentences that are grammatically correct pero nonsense. Okay? So, kailangan, grammatically, mo ganitong validation sa language. Ang mag-validate sa language, both the structure and the meaning. So, kailangan, tama ang iyang grammatical structure, tama pud ang iyang meaning, or meaningful pud siya, dili siya nonsense. Next, for example, cows flow supremely. This is grammatically correct. Kung atuan na siyang tarungon og sulat, capital ang C, niya butangan na tugtuldok after sa supremely, that is correct because in a sentence, ang requirement lang man is it has a meaning, complete man ang meaning ana. Pero ang pangutana, nabay sense ang iyang meaning pod. So, we have the subject, we have the verb. Mao man na ang pattern. We have subject, verb, or adverb, subject, verb, or subject, verb, adjective, subject, verb, object, kana ang mga pattern. So, this sentence is grammatically correct. When it comes to syntax, pasar siya. But the question is, semantically, correct ba po siya? Okay? So, pag may tag cows flow supremely, yes, there is a subject. There is an action word. So the cow does an action and there is an adverb modifying the flow. Pero when you try to understand it, so may pagsabot ninyo anang cows flow supremely. Anybody? What do you mean by that? Okay, thank you. So basically, we cannot tell unsa may meaning ana kung literal mo buang pagsabot. Giunsa na sa tao. So yes, exactly. Dili na to ma-identify unsa jud exactly ang ginapasabot sa sentence kay although grammatically correct siya, ang meaning niya murag wala. Dili ta kasabot. So in communication, it is important that the structure of the sentence is grammatically correct and at the same time you are able to convey or we are able to convey the meaning that we want to convey. So, again, not all sentences that are grammatically correct are semantically correct. So, dili sa tanan panahon. And of course, there are also sentences na naay meaning, magets nimo ang meaning, pero mali po diyang grammar. For example, moingon tag, the dog bites me. When you say the dog bites me, you get the meaning, you understand it, you paak siya sa iro. You get the meaning, which is correct. Tama man. Mabuhat man na sa iro, unlike aning cows flow supremely. So in that case, tama ang iyang meaning, there is semantics there. However, sa syntax pud siya nabagsak. Kay wala man niya na follow ang grammatical structure, especially ang subject-verb agreement. So, yun ana ang relationship between syntax and semantics. Next, how do we do syntactic analysis? Firstly, actually we have done this na sa um, ELT 111. We have done this already. It's just that we did not touch semantic and pragmatic analysis. But this time, apilo na to na sila. Okay, so syntactic analysis is also referred as syntax analysis or parsing. Ang pinaka-common nga term sa kaning syntactic analysis is parsing action. It is a process of analyzing natural language with the rules of a formal grammar. So, mo na focus sa syntactic analysis. It is very strict when it comes to grammar. Next, mo nang magka-syntax error pag dili i-follow ang grammar. Grammatical rules are applied to categories and groups of words, not individual words. So when we do syntactic analysis, we do not do it word per word. We do it by phrase or categories. Noun phrase, verb phrase, ano siya, clauses. That's what we do with syntactic analysis. Parsing is resolving a sentence into its component parts and describing their syntactic roles. Unsa man yung mga syntactic roles? Later we will know that. Okay, so as I have said, we've done this already. Katong nag-demo-demo ta, pero kato atong gidemo kay that was for ano man, word formation. But here, it's almost the same. Nabuhat ninyo ni sa exam 4 sa ALT 111. But we are dealing now with sentences. So what you're going to do is just to determine what in the parts of speech does each word belong. Determiner ba siya, noun ba siya, verb, etc. And then connect them into phrases or first identify the words and then identify the phrases para makita nato ang level sa construction or process sa construction sa sentence. Just like here, we have determiner, noun, and verb. And then we have noun phrases and we also have verb phrase. So we come up with a sentence. And remember that these two are the domineering phrases. We have noun phrase and verb phrase nga pag wala na sila, walay sentence. Okay, next is analysis. So since we will be doing analysis, it's not enough. This is just the syntax. This is how the sentence is formed. But since we are dealing with or we are talking with syntactic analysis, we have to analyze, of course, the structure. So this is now an example of an analysis. So in the sentence, the thief robbed the apartment, we can observe that there are three parts of speech used, which are noun, verb, and determiner, which is this one, this one's, daghan one. Determiner, the noun, and the verb. There are three parts of speech used. There are also two phrases used, noun phrase and verb phrase. So in order daw nga mag-come up siya sentence, nagamit po siya og two phrases lang. Wala na siya laing gigamit na phrases, no prepositional phrase, only noun phrases and verb phrase. And lastly, the syntax and grammar is correct considering the occurrence of domineering noun and verb phrases. So sa syntax analysis, ang goal nato sa syntax analysis is to come up with a conclusion as to whether it is grammatically correct or syntactically correct or there is an error in the sentence. Mo na purpose sa pagbuhat og sa pag conduct of syntax analysis to determine whether the sentence is grammatically correct or not. Kung gi-follow ba niya ang rules sa grammar. So, ang guide ninyo ani katong subject-verb agreement nga gibuhat nato before. Next, we have any questions muna about syntax analysis or syntactic analysis or parsing? Questions, clarifications? You may turn your mics on right away or comment your clarifications. I'll give you 20 seconds para maguna-huna. Wala man. Okay. Um, by the way, when you do analysis, what I did here is I just put bullets. I presented it in bullet form because I don't want to feed you with the structure and how to do the analysis. When we do the analysis, we have to write this in paragraph form, of course. So, pag magpabuhat ko sa inyo ha, dapat paragraph form siya. Now, tama na ni nga content. Pwede na ni siya. But since we will be writing this all together in paragraph form, we need to use transitional devices and conjunctions. So, this time, I will be checking kung appropriate ba ang inyong paggamit sa mga conjunctions in connecting sentences. Okay, so, actually, pag-discuss na ko kaganihan, nagamit na ko ang mga um, conjunctions, some of the conjunctions. So again, mao ni ang first na buhaton ninyo for syntax analysis and then the analysis, of course. The structure, the tree, the parse tree, and the analysis. Next is we have the semantic and pragmatic analysis. Semantics studies the meaning of words and sentences. Okay? Meaning of words and sentences, as in the literal meaning of words and sentences. But pragmatics studies the same words and meaning within a context. Kung sa ganitong context, do you remember? We have discussed this exam 2 period. Anybody? What is a context? Or what is the relationship of context with syntax? Hello? Nakalimot ang na-perfect sa quiz. What is context? Talking about language, what is context? You can just comment a word or a phrase or a sentence if you want. Hala siya. Uy. Yes, Ken. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, exactly. It talks about the culture and the environment of the people who are using the language. The people who, like, for example, if it's spoken or written, the person who spoke the language or the person who wrote the language. In order for us to determine the meaning of the sentence, we need to know first, we have to consider first unsay ang background, asa siya nga environment na belong, unsay lang culture. Because language is understood depending, correctly ha, understood correctly, depending on the context, which refers to the culture and environment of the person who is speaking or using the language. So in this context, sa Philippines, we cannot compare how the Filipinos use English language with how Americans use it. Because there are languages nga English nga wala ginagamit sa Amerika, nga wala ginagamit sa laing places. For example, the comfort room. When you go to Korea, you will never hear people ask about where's the comfort room. They do not know about CR. They only use bathroom in their place. So if we are not familiar with the culture and environment of the people using the language, we will not really understand them. So the people from Korea, of course, need to understand also the culture of the Filipinos. Nganong comfort room atong tawag ana. Okay, so lahi sa uban places like sa America, lahi pa gyud ng toilet room, lahi ang bathroom, lahi ang comfort room. So, we really need to consider. Kaya ang comfort room basically sa laing lugar that refers to a room. Literal, room sa ospital nga kung naay mamatay while waiting sa ilang kaanak nga, 'di ba, pag i-declare na dead ang pasyente, dadod man na sa morgue. So, while maghulat ang mga tagtungod, didto na sila sa comfort room ibutang. So, ang sa ilaha mo na ang comfort room, as in room for comfort. But with us, when we go to the CR, we don't feel comfort because, you know, the odor and all. So, but we cannot judge because that's how we use the language according to culture, and language is part of culture, so mo man inaanda na to, so mong ginagamit na to sa. Okay, so that's the idea of pragmatics. Sa semantics is we try to get the meaning of the sentence literally. Sa pragmatics, we try to understand the meaning of the sentence according to the context of the person who said or wrote it. Okay? That is why when analyzing poems, short stories, even essays, na mga yun, it's important if you have remembered, if you have noticed, even when you were in high school, pag mag-lecture gani ang teacher about, or magpabuhat ang activity ang teacher about literature, ang pinakauna nga ipabuhat kay ipa-check sa unsa ang background sa author. Because we have to consider what is the background of the author in order for us to understand the literary piece. Because basically, the root of the write-up is the experience, or the basis of the write-up is the experience of the author. So, muna importante kaayo na makabalusa ta unsa man ang background or culture sa tao nga nagsulat ana or nagsulti ana. So, that is the purpose of doing pragmatics. Semantics is limited to the relationship between words, whereas pragmatics covers the relationship between words, people, and context. So, ang semantics, kung unsa lang ang meaning sa words, that's it. Ang sa pragmatics, it does not end with getting the meaning of the individual words, but the people and the context as well. For example, I am so hungry, I can eat a horse. When you say that sentence, yes, it has a meaning. To check it syntactically, it's correct. It's grammatically correct. So sa syntax, di wala siya error. With semantics naman, dili po siya error because it has its meaning. It's meaningful. Naman siya meaning. Nasa may sariling meaning. But the question is the meaning literally correct considering the context of the people who use the language? So, pag inguniyag, I am so hungry, I can eat a horse, does that really mean nga mukaon jud siya o kabayo? So, in semantics, kung semantics lang atong i-consider, we would observe the literal meaning created by these words and would assume that this person wants to eat a horse. Literally. Okay? But with pragmatics, if we try to understand the statement, if we examine this sentence from a pragmatic perspective, we also consider the context and what the speaker is trying to imply. Mo to kung gayon kaganiha. Sa pragmatics, sabton sa nato, mukhaon ba jud ni tao aning kabayo? Mo ba gyud na iyang ginapasabot pag ingon niya nga I can eat a horse, or the person is just trying to imply or trying to modify how hungry he or she is. So that is pragmatics, going beyond what the words literally mean. Okay? So, Dara, do you think they actually want to eat? Are they just saying they are very hungry? Or do you think they are dropping a hint that they want to be fed? So, wala siya. Here is brief comparison between semantics and pragmatics. Semantics studies words and their meanings, whereas pragmatics studies words and their meanings within language placed within a context. Semantics looks at the literal meanings of words, whereas pragmatics looks at the intended meaning of words. Unsa joy gusto ipasabot. Ang semantics is unsay literal nga pasabot sa sentence. Ang pragmatics unsay gusto ipasabot sa speaker or sa writer. So semantics, it is limited to the relationship between words, while pragmatics covers the relationship between words, interlocutors, meaning the people um, engaged in the conversation. So, katong nagstorya or katong naminaw, katong nagsulat o katong nagbasa, and context. Okay, questions about semantics and pragmatics. Clarifications. Wala. So, fast learner, ganun. Okay na? Please type 1 if naklaro to tanan. As in, totally walay kalibog. Type 1. Sure, sure. Output ane. Ang 40% katong exam 1 to 4 apil ni nga topic. Pero tanan topics nga na-cover, pero ang 60% ang product nga akong i-require gikan sa inyo. Murag katong task, di ba naman tayo mga task, weekly tasks. Kani, dili ko mag-weekly task, maghatag lang ko terminal task, kumbaga. Oo. So, mahulog nga, katong terminal task ninyo, mo na to siya inyuhang final task for the subject. So, i-appeal na ko siya kay since 40% man ang inyuhang exam, sayang man ang inyong effort ani. So, ato siyang kay mas dako man gud ni siya og impact sa inyo kay kamo may motrabaho kaysa sa katong multiple choice exam. So, mao mas dako siya og percentage. Okay, other concerns? Wala na? Yes, Christian. Context as simple as the culture, background, in short, the background, na may cultural background, 'di ba? So, personal background sa tao. Environment niya, asa siya nabilong, kinsa iyang mga nakahalubilo, unsay citizenship niya. That's the broader concept pag moingon tag context. Gets na to, Christian? Okay. So, mo to kung giingon, di ba before, naka-remember mo katong nag-discuss ta sa context na pag muingon kag, gupahan ni mo, uy. Lahi sa gupahan ni mo, uy. Depende sa tono. Pero naapoy mga tao na even if kana katong akong giingon sa inyo ha, na pag mastorya, murag nasuko, pero actually wala siya nasuko. Like, ang uban po, lambing ang tono, pero nasuko na di ay. So, depende sa context. So you have to understand the context of the person, the culture of the person, the background of the person. Um, before getting the meaning sa iyang gisulti kay basig na misinterpret nimo mo ganing pag sa kanang communication nga through text or call walay personal interaction na ay misinterpretation kay dili makaligtaan nato na i-consider unsa man jud gusto niya ipasabot mataken nato literally ang iyang statement nga murag makaingon tag nasuko siya or nalain siya pero actually wala di ay so mo na siyang important sa context. Okay, other questions? Sige, di man mo mangutana no. Maayo siguro ako na lang mo check kung nakasabot ba kay murag kung walay mangutana nakasabot man jud na. So try nato kung nakasabot ba jud. Let's try it. Please apply syntactic individually ha, semantic and pragmatic analysis in the sentence below. We have two sentences here. So for syntactic analysis, ay sige, ako na lang ni himuon og ayon na lang. Kana na lang, two sentences. For syntactic analysis, duha. Ay, duha man ka sentence. Tapos, you will do syntactic with analysis ha. Parse 3 and parse 3. Parse 3. Dili part 3. Parse 3. Katong 3 diagram. Tapos, analysis, syntactic analysis, katong discussion kung unsa na mga parts of speech, unsa nga mga phrases ang gigamit, niya grammatically correct ba siya. And then semantic analysis and pragmatic analysis. Paragraph na ng semantic o pragmatic ang meaning na niya ang inyong isulat. Adja? Adja. I will get your output for this. Kaya check na ako kung nakasabot ba dyan. Hello? Are you with me? Wala, oy. Ansa mo, pahuman na noon ang term, di na naman mo. Okay na? Picture lang akong pangayoon. Pwede ninyo siya isulat sa papel tapos picturean ninyo or magamit mo unit cellphone. Pwede ra, wala problema sa ako. Basta I need the output written or typewritten, hand or typewritten. Itapad lang sila. Ayaw ibutang sa ubos. Lahi sila, kay lahi-lahi sila sentence, pero itapad lang sila. Oo. Oo, kay kung iputol na to, malahi ang meaning. Sige. Karon na ha, buhatan ninyo karon. I will be posting sa G-Class. I-screenshot de in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Mag-end kong presentation, ay end na ko akong presentation, tapos mag-post ko sa G-Class. Dito ninyo i-upload inyo ang outputs ha, kay tanawon ako tanan. Christian, yes. Pwede ra, sure. Sige. Screenshot, tagaan takag time, screenshot. Sige, everyone. Kaning kuan, asa man, kaning parse 3? Sige. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next, screenshot, 5, 4, ha? Wala. Ay, naku. Oh, nag-ihap-ihap ko. bad. Nana? Sige. Screenshot. 3, 2, 1. Next. Screenshot.